Hi everyone, I'm Film Club reporter Tanvi and welcome to today's Film Club live show.
Hello everyone, I'm Ben from the Film Club team, and today Tanvi and I will be interviewing documentary producer Gaby Bastyra. We'll be discussing exactly what a documentary is and what makes them so darn fascinating. Now do not forget, we are live, we're interactive, which means if you have a question, just send them to the details scrolling below.
So let's get started. Hello Gaby and welcome to the Film Club studio.
Hello, very happy to be here.
Welcome.
Gaby, could you explain what a documentary is?
A documentary is a film, a non-fiction film that's about a subject based in reality. So that can be either a film that's it's either going to have a narration explaining the story, or sometimes the pictures just explain the story in themselves. So there's not any actors in it. It's just documenting a real-life subject, essentially.
Good stuff. Now, something I'd like to know is how exactly did you start in the film industry business? Where did it all begin?
Well, I specifically make wildlife films, so it began with a degree in zoology. And then I thought, oh goodness, how can I continue working with animals and meet lots of animals and travel to these countries where they all live? And so I discovered if I worked on nature films, I'd get to do all of that. So I began as a runner for a documentary company, which included everything from making cups of tea to looking at what's been filmed on the rushes, and buying everything from costumes for reconstructions and all kinds of things.
Being very helpful.
Being a helpful person
Very
is how it
helpful.
all started, basically.
Gaby, as a documentary producer, what is your role?
My role as a producer is to basically put the whole process together. So I usually have to find a director that helps to write the story with me. I have to find the stories as well, so I do a lot of research. I have to manage the edit, so all the post-production after we've done the filming. And then the biggest and probably most time-consuming thing is setting up the shoots, and also going on the shoots with a cameraman and sound man and essentially the camera crew. So it's kind of producing it, the whole picture, and making sure everything's ticking along nicely, essentially.
Great stuff. Now it's now time to have a look at some of the fruits of your labour. We're going to have a look at Gloop, a short film made by Gaby. She directed it and produced it. Gloop is a dark fairy tale that follows the meteoric rise of plastic from its inception in a gloomy laboratory 100 years ago. Now it offers a poignant and fascinating message about the price we pay for the convenience of plastic. Now, we're going to watch this in two parts. Let's take a look at part one.
Once upon a time, 100 years ago, a genius of science, a chemist called Leo, stumbled on a substance, a curious gloopy mass, that moulded into any shape the genius cared to test. Eureka! Cried Leo. My Gloop can do anything. It's really quite fantastic. I know. I'll call it plastic. He began a revolution that would set all women free. Use it once, throw it away. Fantastic plastic saves the day. Plastic forks and plastic cups, plastic blenders, plastic pots, plastic bottles, plastic shoes, plastic toys and plastic food. Time went by and plastic thrived, the wonder of an age. But one huge fact was overlooked. by Leo in his excitement. You see, plastic doesn't go away. All plastic things are here to stay.
How did you come up with the ideas for Gloop?
Well, it's actually a film I made with some friends in my spare time, and plastic pollution is a subject that affects so much wildlife. I think 1 million marine wildlife, animals that live in the sea, are affected a year by bits of plastic in the ocean, and it gets tangled up in fins, and it's a very horrible thing. And it's also affecting humans as well. So we really wanted to make a film about quite a kind of serious subject, but make it in a way that wasn't kind of telling people off for the way they live their lives, just making them more aware of a situation they might not be aware of, because, you know, I live in London, I don't know what happens in the ocean, don't expect other people to, so I thought I'd make a little film that wasn't too heavy about a very serious subject, essentially. So that's how it came about.
How long did it take to make Gloop?
Well, it took far longer than it was meant to. It probably took about a year for a 3-minute film.
There you go.
But that's because I had a full-time job at the same time, and we didn't have any money at all to make it. So I had to ask lots of very friendly cameramen, sound men, art direct designers, all kinds of people to kind of do me little favours for exchange for other favours. So we were just filming on weekends and doing edits in the evening. So it took, and my friend I made it with had 2 babies. Within a year.
Yikes.
So it took longer than it was meant to.
But there you go, that's a good little tip. Get some favours. Right, okay, let's listen to the Film Club live hotline, and we have a question coming up round about now.
Hi, my name's Becky and I'm from St. Joseph. My question is, what's the biggest challenge you have faced while filming a documentary?
Oh, great question there. That was Betty from St. Joseph's, and she would like to know, what's the biggest challenge you have faced while filming a documentary?
So the biggest challenge I've faced with all of my documentaries, specifically because they're wildlife, is that the animals don't do what they're meant to do. So it's not like you can say, okay, enter scene now and leave scene now and do your little bird dance right now, please. So every time when you do the research, you have to find the best time of year where the animals are more likely to be there and either attracting a mate or hunting, or the best time of day. And then you send a cameraman out there with a very nice camera usually, so it looks very beautiful. And then you have to just hope that you've sent them to the right place at the right time, and that the animal will do what it's meant to do. So the biggest challenge is on all of them that the animal actually does do what it's meant to do, or what you hope it will do, basically.
What do you most enjoy about your job?
I would say the most enjoyable thing is that every day is completely different. One day I could be talking to the world's expert on giant squid, and the next day I could be talking to someone who knows everything there is about hawks, or how you film a bat at night when they move very fast and they're in the dark. So you think, how can we actually film that? So every day I'm learning something new, and I just don't know what to expect every day at work, basically.
Squid expert, imagine that.
So we're now going to watch the second part of Gloop.
A plastic plague was breeding, invisible to see. Leo's marvellous glooping mass had dark secrets to unleash. Plastic soon began to roam to places far away from home, from rubbish dumps and into streams, and in venture all the way to sea. Plastic was so happy to finally be free, meeting all the creatures of the deep blue sea. Swimming with the fish, small, medium and large. Bumping into turtles, whales and even sharks. Then flying with the seabirds, soaring through the skies, landing on a sandy beach, before catching another ride. Forever and a day, Leo's moulded Gloop will play, sailing on the currents, visiting foreign lands, while slowly breaking up, becoming toxic plastic sand.
Now, it sounds like you've been to some fantastic places in the world, but where is your favourite location where you've filmed something?
Can I give two answers?
Yes, go for it.
So I think one of the favourite locations I've been is the Azores, which are these little group of islands in the middle of the Atlantic, just owned by Portugal, and there's lots of sperm whales that live there, and they hunt giant squid. And we saw lots of sperm whales, and we managed to swim with them, and that was just a weird and wonderful place to visit, because it's also where all the sailors pass through when they sail across the Atlantic. My other favourite place, I'd have to say, was on the top of the Houses of Parliament.
Whoa.
So I was making a documentary about the wildlife in London, and there's a nesting pair of peregrines that hunt every morning from the top of the Houses of Parliament. So we went up there for sunrise and saw the most beautiful view of London, which is the city I know and love, from a very different angle, and then saw these peregrine falcons hunting pigeons for dawn, for breakfast. So that was also quite exciting. So you don't have to go to all these far-flung locations to kind of see an incredible situation, basically.
It's everywhere around you.
Exactly.
What a view as well from Big Ben.
It was pretty good.
Nice.
What's your favourite documentary that young children can enjoy and why?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I think there's one called Planet Ocean, which I really enjoy. It's just come out quite recently. It's all shot from aerial, so it's all shot from a little helicopter or an aeroplane. And it's all about life in the oceans and people that work in the oceans. And it's all filmed from an angle that you wouldn't normally see, and telling you about subjects in the ocean, again, that you wouldn't normally come across. And I think that you can learn a lot from that, and also see things with a different eyes as well. So I think that's a good one to recommend.
It certainly is, and it was really popular with Film Club members. I think over nearly 100 clubs have seen it so far, 250 reviews, and we actually ran a review writing competition recently, and we've announced the winners, so just go to the homepage and see if you won or not. Now, topically enough, we have a clip of Planet Ocean, so let's have a look at the wondrous seas.
Millions of years of evolution have enabled each species to find a place and a role in this coral metropolis. The scorpion fish camouflages itself, while the spider crab lets itself be colonized by shellfish and becomes invisible when motionless. Or you can hide.
What's the most interesting animal you've worked with?
I would say, I'm going to give two answers again. One is lemon sharks. That was very interesting. They swim into the real shallows, so literally up to your knees, to give birth. And so we were kind of walking around the shallows, and these huge, great 2-metre-long sharks came in. And that was quite exciting. And seeing the little baby, because baby sharks are called pups, seeing the pups come out. And then also wild turkeys, funnily enough. And again, I made a documentary about them, and we followed them from little babies, which are called poults, until they were grown up. And if you can fall in love with a wild turkey, I think you can pretty much fall in love with any animal, which is what I learnt working with them. So those two, I'd say.
That's incredible, that. So a guy looking after them from when they were born to when they flew away. It's really,
exactly.
Really powerful documentary series, that, and award-winning, I believe. Did very well indeed. Now, I reckon there's lots of members watching now thinking, I want to be just like Gaby, going around the world and making documentaries. What are your top tips for making your first documentary?
Top tips would be to get your own little camera and start playing with it and working out what you think works on camera. speaking to lots of filmmakers. I would also recommend finding a good story, because a lot of the time in documentaries, as long as you've got a good story, it doesn't matter if the footage is a bit wobbly or the sound's a bit crackly. If you've got a good story, then basically you're going to make a good film. That would be my best advice. And also, if you to ask for work experience in a lot of production companies, to look at what different production companies make, and then ask if you can come in and just see what it's all about. Because otherwise it's all just a bit of a dream. You don't really know what's all involved, and you don't know what role you want to do. And then at least you'll see it if you have a bit of experience in a company.
Great stuff. So when you get older, lots of research, hard work, and you'll get there. You can do it. Also, we've just mentioned about filmmaking now, about film watching. Do you think it's important young people watch documentaries as well as things like dramas and comedies?
Definitely, because that's when you learn what makes a good story, and you find the films that you enjoy, and you think, oh, I want to make that kind of film. So for inspiration, I recommend watching as many documentaries as possible.
Definitely, and if you go on to our topics page, you'll find a string of documentary recommendations. As I think Gaby's touched on there, some of the best stories in the world are actually true ones. They're the most special ones. Sadly, that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much, Gaby, for coming in and answering our questions.
It's been a pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now then, do not forget to check out our competition page. We have an Instagram competition where you can win some fabulous prizes just by sending in a great picture of your film club, maybe eating some popcorn, just chilling out watching the film. There's also a competition where you can win movie merchandise from new animation film Epic.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed hearing from Gaby. Please do join us again tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. when we'll be hosting an interview with award-winning animator Sally Pierce.
See you then. Goodbye. See you
Bye.
guys.